In a very wild and deeply disturbing event in international news in Brazil, supporters of the former president, Jair Bolsonaro, have stormed the entire Brazilian government, doing the most damage to the congressional building and also vandalizing and trespassing in the Supreme Court and presidential palace. This comes after Bolsonaro lost a close election to former President Lula, and Lula was sworn in last week on January 1st. And taking a play out of the Trump playbook, Bolsonaro refused to accept the results of the election, and a lot of his supporters have doubt about what happened, despite there being no widespread evidence of voter fraud. And this event is drawing a lot of comparisons to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, uh, coming ironically just 2 days after this happening, January 8th. So just a pretty interesting coincidence there. Now we can safely say that the police have and security military have all taken control of the government buildings, and there are no more of these trespassers, rioters, protesters, whatever you want to call them, in their varying reports on how many got arrested. Uh, Minister of Justice saying that it was around 200 people. District Governor saying it was around 400 people. We'll probably get clarification on those exact numbers a little later. Thankfully, neither Congress nor the Supreme Court or any presidential activities were in session at the time, so there were no members of the government that got harmed by this. But this is a severe escalation of the ongoing thing that the supporters of Bolsonaro have been doing to protest his loss of the election, which they falsely believe um, was stolen. Um, Lula saying that the people who did this will be found and punished, and calling the people who stormed the buildings fascists, also blaming security and appointing a new head of security. So hopefully these new measures will prevent anything like this from happening again in both Brazil, and hopefully it will raise awareness in other countries where there might be controversial elections in the future that have results disputed. Countries will hopefully be able to better prepare for potential storming of government buildings based on both January 6th and this event today. As this article says, Bolsonaro supporters have been protesting then by causing just general chaos and disruption in the country, camping in front of army barracks, blocking roads, and making a lot of calls for armed forces to go ahead and overturn the election. So it's another attempt to subvert the democratic will of the people in a free and fair election. And it'll be interesting to see how um, Bolsonaro further responds to this. He's already criticized the riots, but and saying that the peaceful protest is good, but actual invasions and storming of buildings is not, and taking no responsibility for the act. So it'll be very interesting to see what his further statements are on this, whether he generally sticks to this conclusion or whether he um is convinced to change his mind, or if something else comes out, whether he'll be willing to change his mind, maybe make more harsh criticisms, or possibly take responsibility, which is probably unlikely, or maybe he'll be more sympathetic to his supporters that did this. We don't really know, but that's what the future holds. So complete and total chaos in Brazil today. Thankfully, no one in the government killed, and as of now, security has totally taken back all of the invaded buildings.